Hello, and thank you so much for joining me today for the overview of Sage Intacct Global Consolidations. My name is Linda Pinion, and I'll be your host. Before we look at the solution presentation, I do want to cover the agenda. We'll start out today by taking a look at some of the challenges of global consolidation. We'll look at the solution presentation and then finish up with some key takeaways. As we look at what's facing organizations and companies today who do not have their consolidation automated, what we see at the top of the list is that it's taking them a lot of time, manual time, to gather all this information and produce a consolidated report. As we all know, with manual processes, it opens up the door for errors and inaccuracies in our gathering and our reporting. The other challenge is not being able to operate in different currencies for different entities. So today, you know that in Sage Intacct, you have the capability of setting up multiple entities, in fact, unlimited entities, and that within that entity record, you can designate the different currency. There's also the inability when you're faced with this manual process of being able to switch between a consolidated view and a local view. And that's always key to being able to see the information that you need and what's important to you at that time. As we wrap up these challenges, of course, this is all about making sure that we are able to report in a timely manner. And when you're not doing this in an automated, prescriptive way, you do not have the flexibility of getting that reporting out. And anytime that reporting is delayed, that can cost you opportunities, and it can certainly impact your business. So what you're going to see today is we're going to start out with a little setup and configuration. If you think about consolidation, a lot of what's happening from a presentation standpoint is behind the scenes. So that's a little bit difficult to show per se. However, I do want to talk about what happens behind the scenes, and I'll just list that out for you verbally so that you know when you press that one button to do that consolidation, what is happening in the background. And then, of course, being able to access any of those reports. Before we move into the solution, I just thought I would share this one slide with you because this is a visual, and sometimes a picture is worth 1,000 words. So this is a visual of when we think about a company that has a consolidated view here of a company that has 3 entities. So along the bottom, you see we've got the U.S., we've got the India, and we've got U.K. Of course, all 3 of those would be entities in Sage Intacct. All 3 of them have different currencies. And what we're trying to do here with this slide is to show you that those 3 entities are now rolling up into what we're calling Acme Consolidated. There is some benefit to this, some shared benefits around some of the common settings, the chart of accounts, the reporting periods, the workflow, your items and customers and vendors, the ability to share financial reports. And of course, you know, one of our key benefits is being able to set up the inner entity, which is going to create the do tos and do froms. With this solution, you're also going to have the ability to have automated eliminations, and this is for folks that have 100% ownership. In addition to that, at the local level, so at the entity level, each entity is going to have their own base currency, their own statutory reporting. There will be some flexible local settings as well. So that kind of gives you that picture of unlimited entities being consolidated up. And you're going to see in just a moment when we go into setting up the book how you can control and identify which entities you want to consolidate. So let's do that. Let's take a look at Sage Intacct as the solution is rolled out. So this is a process map. You're probably familiar with these from the other applications. All of our applications have a process map. This makes it very clean and simple for you to see what's going on in an application. And as you can see, as I mentioned, there's not a whole lot here because the lion's share of what's happening is behind the scenes. But before we go to our setup, let's just take a look at, you always have the ability to have that organizational view. And this is helpful because, again, it shows you how things are going to be rolled up. So as you build out your organization, you'll be able to see this organizational view. If we come back to our overview and look at our setup of our books. So I have multiple books set up here. You can set up as many books as you choose to. If we take a look at the European book, the one that I have named EUR, so we look at that, that really is my EMEA consolidation in euros is what that's for. So this is what you would set up for each one of your books. Now, there are multiple tabs here, and of course, we're going to ask you for some account numbers. We're going to ask you for the title of the journals that you want to post to. We may ask you to point to a default department. So you've got some information here about how you want this book to be set up and how you want us to use, whether you want us to use the ending spot rate or the weighted average rate. That's all here at the book level. When you move to the entities to consolidate, this is going to allow you to choose what entities you want to put into this book consolidation. So for me, you can see that I have indicated which ones of my entities will roll into this consolidation. And then also, I've indicated the dimensions that I want to consolidate. The next tab is around the journals. So I am actually pointing and identifying the journals for consolidation. So again, another option for you to define the journal symbol and the journal title. And then to be able to identify if you're going to use any accounts for override. So if you're using the historical rate and you do want to override that, you can set that here and then point to any elimination accounts. So we've got our 2 elimination accounts set up here for payables and receivables. So once you set up these books, the next step for you to go through is to come in and do the consolidation. So running the consolidation, when we say that it is just a single click, it truly is. You're clicking on running the consolidation, you're choosing the book that you want to consolidate, and it's going to come up with a default range here. However, you can look at the drop down and choose another date. As it builds out this screen, it's going to keep track of what you have consolidated. So once a consolidation is run, it will have these populated with checkboxes. You'll be able to hover over that particular period and see when that consolidation was executed and the rates that were used for consolidation. However, to consolidate, all you need to do is to click this top box for USD, and it will include and automatically populate all of those entities that you've set in that book that you want to consolidate. And then at this point, all you need to do is to consolidate by clicking the button. One other piece that I'll point out here is that you can set up a recurrence, so you can set up a recurring schedule of how often you want to consolidate so that this can run in the background offline. Now, you might be curious to know what happens when you hit that consolidate button. So the first thing that happens is we translate all of the amounts from that entity-based currency to the consolidation currency. Then we break out the accounts that use different translation methods and spot rates and weighted average and historical rates. Based on those different translation methods, we then compute the revaluation adjustment and post them to the cumulative transaction adjustment. Now, once we've done all of that, once all the entities have been translated, we process the inter-entity elimination, and we do that last. Remember, one of the key points was that we were going to automate the elimination entries. We loop through all those entities and get their inter-entity balance and then adjust for elimination. So now that we've done the consolidation, let's come back and let's look at one of these reports that's already been defined for you. So as an example, if you come into your customer aging, you'll notice that you have the ability to put in a particular currency. You can base it on the conversion based on the base currency or the transaction currency. You can make this as of a selected date, which is what we're going to do, or you could have it default to today's date. You can base it on the invoice date, the due date, or the GL posting date. And then once you run this aging report, of course, it has all the capabilities of, emailing it, adding it to your dashboard, viewing it, printing it. So lots of ways that you can deploy it. But the point being that now you can see, when we are converting from another currency into U.S. dollars. So you see how it's converted the check, $1,500 to the U.S. dollars of $80.76. So again, this is going to allow you to run those reports across those currencies and to come in and customize how you want to change those attributes, how you want to change the filters on executing the report. So that's a quick rundown of what's in the consolidation with Sage Intacct. So let's come back and let's just cover a few points about global consolidation. So remember, as I walked through this today, Intacct is going to eliminate that manual work that really slows you down to a crawl when it's time to do that global consolidation and produce those consolidated financial reports. If we come back to our dashboard here and we look at our consolidated dashboard, we can see our P&L here across our different entities. So this is what we're getting to. We're getting to those consolidated financial reports that we can then push out to a consolidated dashboard. If we come back in and step back into our summary of what Intacct Global Consolidation does, it really allows us to reduce the close time and improve the accuracy. It's doing this because it has that comprehensive automation. The financial management and the reporting is streamlined. Every single stakeholder gets the right view of performance. And the support for consolidations, this is an important point to remember. The support for consolidations is native to the Sage Intacct architecture. And that means that you don't have to use any other add-on software. Everything that you need is right here. We're going to automate all of those currency conversions and those revaluations. We're going to do that because we remember with multi-currency, we are subscribed to OANDA, and OANDA is where we're getting those updated currency rates. So when you turn on multi-currency, you're automatically getting the accurate currency rates. We're going to have that information when we do the consolidation so that we know we're using the right rates at the time that consolidation occurs. Real-time automated eliminations, that's going to allow you to do away with a lot of the period end entries that you possibly are making today. Push that button and it's going to run that consolidation either in real time or set it up on a recurring basis. Every consolidation produces an automatic journal entry report, and that's going to give you the detail of all of the consolidation entries. Why is that important? Because you may need that for audit purposes. And we know, just in talking to our customers that are currently using IGC, that they are experiencing hours of savings, some as many as, 30, 40 hours that they were spending on consolidation that now has drastically reduced to an hour or less that they are really spending on doing their global consolidation. I want to thank you so much for your time today. If you have any further questions, your Sage Intacct representative will be happy to answer those for you. Thanks so much.